Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome back to a professional match of StarCraft 2. Today it's time for a Terran versus Zerg Best-of-3 series, where in game number 1 we find ourselves on Glittering Ashes. Spawning right here in the top right hand corner of the map, playing with the blue Terran SCVs from South Korea, we have GuMiho. His opponent in the opposite corner with the red Zerg drones, likewise also from Korea, we are looking at Rogue's main hatchery. Alright, this should be a really fun one because both of these players are not afraid to mix it up. GuMiho especially, of course, he's been playing, well, different build orders for many years now, and ever since he's come back to the military or from the military. I mean, he hasn't been mixing it up as much as he did before then, but there's still no denying that he will be very unlikely to play the same build order 3 times in a row, right? If we go to map number 3 anyways. Already, he starts off this particular series with a command center first. Now, of course, Glittering Ashes, the biggest map in the current map pool, but this is always a little bit risky, especially when you're going up against Rogue, because Rogue is not one of those players who's not afraid to mix it up. I mean, especially, I don't know if this is true, right? This is just me, I guess, speculating, but in my mind, I think that Rogue probably thinks he's a better player than GuMiho, and therefore he should go for some aggression, right? He's pretty much always testing the opponent when he, especially when he seems to consider himself better than the opponent. He always goes for some aggression, and yeah, I wouldn't have been surprised at all to see Rogue going for example, a very early spawning pool, which would have been an absolute disaster, and probably already GG. I mean, if you get this command center, yeah, it's not going to finish on the low ground. It's a bit of an issue. Although, I guess Glittering Ashes has such a long rush distance from natural to natural that even against a 12 pool, you might still be able to finish this one up. I'm not exactly sure. I mean, 12 pools, of course, in Terran versus Zerg. Not particularly popular in the first place. Anyway. Alright. Overlord. Hiding right here on this high ground. Interesting spot, actually. Generally speaking, Zerg players send their Overlord towards that pillar. So usually you go to the ramp first and then towards the pillar right over there, but apparently Gumi, yeah, is not going to find an Overlord here anytime soon. He is going to go straight into the Reaper here. Factory as a follow-up as well. And I'm expecting a reactor here, so you can go for the big switcheroo right when the factory finishes up. This should be right as the Reaper, yeah, pops out. There it is. The reactor indeed does start here as well. Second gas already taken. Everything's looking a-okay. Now, whenever we discuss who the greatest StarCraft 2 player of all time is, Rogue's name doesn't really come up nearly as often as, in my opinion, he deserves. So, whenever we discuss who the greatest StarCraft 2 player is, it pretty much always comes down to, like, Serral or Maru or maybe even Innovation, but I genuinely do believe that Rogue is one of the greatest StarCraft players of all time. I mean, there's a reason why he's got $1 million in prize money, right? The guy is ridiculously good. I guess the main criticism is that Rogue can be a little bit inconsistent. And again, I don't know if this is true, but I always kind of feel like Rogue isn't practicing as much until there's like a tournament coming up with 6 figures worth of prize money. I don't know if that's true, but I feel like that's been the case for quite a while. I love this certain positioning, by the way. That's beautiful. Reaper doesn't see it, but he does see the Reaper. Anyways, Rogue, apparently, he does play a lot of Maple Story. So I guess he's, I don't know, whenever there's no tournament coming up with a large prize pool, it always seems to me that he's playing a lot of Maple Story and very little StarCraft. Oh, by the way, it's a very quick Roach Warren here from him, and he's also not gone for the Zerking speed, has he? No. So he decided to skip Zerking speed for now, and he's now adding drones back into the Gas Geyser. Cloaking Field has already started up right here for Gumi. There's a couple of builds that are really good against a Roach Opener. I doubt that this is going to be a Link Flood as a follow-up, because you can't really do that if you have a... It's probably just going to be one round of Roaches here. So 8 of them are coming up right here. I think the 16 Marine drop, so the 2-1-1 opener, that's very commonly played by Terran players, is super good against this Roach opener, because the Roaches hit on the other side of the map in about 5 minutes, and that's also around the time that Stimpack finishes up. The other option, however, okay, is indeed the Banshee opener. Gumi going for a blind Banshee. Not a very quick one, but still a blind Banshee nonetheless. Viking here should be able to shut down that Ovi as well. Yeah, this is one of those safe starts right here for Terran, especially when you go CC first into a very quick third command center. This should be phenomenal right now for GuMiho. You're looking to kill at least a bunch of SCVs here as Rogue, so he's going to drone on the back of this. He's gone for a lair as well, but it's going to be quite hard to really get any damage in whatsoever. Banshee's going to pop out very soon. Love the positioning right here as well on these Hellions. They really want to deal as much splash damage as possible. I mean, I liked it better when he was over here. Okay, this is good. He decided to go into the main base as soon as I started that sentence. Yeah, so obviously Hellions, they deal damage in a line of fire right there. Even a Viking has landed. And honestly, I don't think any SCVs are going to fall. Maybe a couple, but... yeah. Really good start right here for GuMiho. Finally, Zergling speed starts up here as well for Rogue. Very late link speed, of course. We'll probably need a couple of Spore Crawlers, too. I believe he did see the green light right there instead of the... oh, no. It actually got cancelled. So maybe he saw that it got cancelled? I'm not entirely sure. Even without the Banshee cloaking ability, though, it's still very helpful, of course, to have the Spore Crawlers up, just in case the Banshee still decides to show on the other side. Either way, Spire right here for the Zerg, going up against what seems to be a mech transition right here from GuMiho. Alright, so double armory here. Where's the second armory? Okay. One in the back of the main, one in the back of the natural. Making it a little bit harder on himself than it probably needs to be, but I guess as long as you keep them in mind, or maybe you hotkey them, it's A-okay. GuMiho, of course, has been playing mech for a very long time, long before it was cool. These days, Maru has popularized mech and Terran versus Zerg quite a bit, but GuMiho has been playing it, well, he was in the military, I guess, when it became popular once again, but he was playing it before he went to the military, before anyone else was playing mech as well, so he's very comfortable playing this style. And this is one of the things that Gumi did back in the day, which I love, right? So, he decides to go for Thors right now, but then he's also pumping out a couple of Medivacs. And the idea behind the Medivacs is that you can use them, especially against Muta play. So what you do is you have the Javelin missiles of the Thors shoot at them at the Mutas, and then you pick up the Thors with the Medivacs, you boost in the direction of the Mutas, and then you drop them when the cooldown of the Javelin missile is once again available. So this is a clever little micro trick, but I believe it takes 4 of those missiles to kill a Muta, a group of Mutas that is. So yeah, it's really smooth. Anyways, we do have some Muta play right here. Now this is a really good Zergling run by though. Okay. Thors were actually thinking about going across the map. I don't think that's what you want to do at all. Only 2 SCVs? Only 2 SCVs? Alright, Blue Flame starts up immediately. Roaches right now is a follow-up as well. I guess Rogue has seen, okay, if you're going for, yeah, a bunch of Medivacs and a bunch of Thors, you're not going to have a whole lot of siege tanks out, right? Because it takes the same production structure. Yeah, Roaches are going to be pretty good. This could actually backfire really hard, okay. I was thinking that GuMiho was planning on flying those Medivacs towards the other side of the map, but he does decide to bring them back home. Muta's going into the main base. There's those Javelin missiles. Third Thor already available as well, but really nice splitting right here by Rogue, actually. Yeah. Negating a lot of that splash damage from those Thors. Mutas rapidly regenerate when they are out of combat. And already, this is so many workers going down. Now, the problem is, right, with more and more of those Mutas, we're also going to see more and more of those Thors. The problem is that GuMiho doesn't know that Zerg has been producing a ton of Roaches and Ravagers here for a little while already. And in order to stop these units, you really do need siege tanks. At this point, we have none. I mean, we have 2 Hellions and 5 Thors here, and those Roaches and Ravagers are going to eat those for breakfast. Rogue playing his opponent like a fiddle so far. Yeah, this is one of the reasons why the standard is the standard. You're supposed to have at least like 3 siege tanks at this point in the game. Thors obviously aren't bad against Roaches and Ravagers. They're just not great. At the same time, Mutas run into the bases once again. They're just gonna kill whatever they can. Corrosive Bile over there, forcing those Thors to turn around. Tons of SCVs are falling here, and this, yeah, this was a clean game right here by Rogue. Alright, game 2. We are on Hardwire. This is a very good mech map, of course. GuMiho probably very happy to take this game the distance if he can. Curious to see if he once again wants to go for a command center on the low ground first. I doubt it. This is something obviously that a Rogue has picked up on from the previous game, so... then again, he actually sent the Overlord in such a direction. Oh wow, okay, it's a very quick gas here. Okay, so definitely no CC first. The way he parked his very first Overlord on that pillar, right, to scout for the Banshee follow-up, I guess he may have not picked up on the fact that it was a CC first necessarily. I mean, The Reaper didn't come across the map until much later. Yeah, anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Barracks first. We do have a spawning pool first, though, for Rogue. I'm fairly certain, though, that a 16 spawning pool like this one, I think this was 16. 16 supply, that is, 16 drones. I'm fairly certain that Zerglings would still not show up in time to kill the SCV that's building the command center. Rogue just making sure he's not gonna fall for any tricks. One of the nice things about opening up with a spawning pool first occasionally is that it also kind of scares the opponent from going for any kind of proxy barracks. So say, for example, you know, GuMiho was considering going for some proxy wrecks right here. Or maybe in the next game or something. If he wants to go for, you know, proxy barracks and he remembers, wait a second, my opponent went pool first, it suddenly becomes a lot more scary. Ooh, okay. The cleaning bot right there delayed the Roach Warren for a little while, but this is an incredibly quick Roach Warren. I guess Roach's like, you know what? It didn't work out in the previous game, at least not the opener. I kept you back, I guess. That was okay. Let me try and see if I show up with Roaches way earlier. So to put this in perspective, I think the Roach Warren in the previous game started at like 3:20, 3:25. This one is, yeah, gonna be finished by like 2.5 minutes. Not much before that, like 2:15. Alright. There is a Scouting Reaper here for GuMiho. Once again, he's looking around here for Zerglings, and he's gonna find them soon enough, but these Zerglings are trying to keep the Terran player back. These Zerglings right here are sacrificial. They shouldn't really be able to get a whole lot of damage done, but what they are getting done right now is that the Terran player is gonna be completely blind. I mean, yeah, Zerglings do make it towards the other side of the map in time, but not in time to, like, you know, kill anything critical. I guess it successfully delayed the command center. Alright. We should really send another SCV right there to the low ground. Anyways, Roaches are already marching. At this point, Gumi has no idea. GuMiho not scouting with an SCV. Now he finally sees it. Oof, loses the Reaper right there in the process as well. Just attack moving that one. Probably still busy dealing with those Zerglings over there, so he wasn't paying attention to the Reaper. Bunker comes up on the high ground right away. Orbital command morphing in on the low ground. Overlord here providing that high ground vision as well that Rogue is looking for. He's droning on the back of this. Cyclone as well coming up right now for Gumi. So this is not going to be a complete all-in from Rogue, but he needs to deal some sort of damage. If he doesn't, we have some derping going on here on these Roaches, though. If he doesn't deal any damage, it can become a bit of a disaster. SCV right there, okay. Replaced immediately by another one. Yeah, this is one of those things, right, where as a Terran player, you never really know how much there's going to be on the back of this. Now, don't get me wrong. As long as GuMiho doesn't lose a critical amount of units, he's going to be in a really good spot. The double... oh, this is beautiful. Yeah, nicely done right there with that Cyclone lock-on. But since he's got two command centers right here with orbital commands on top of them, he's going to be able to get a ton of eco as soon as he can land the CC. And honestly, this is a good cleanup. Matter of fact, I was thinking he might need to, like, pick up that Marine, but anyways. Yeah, I guess if it was a Zergling follow-up, he would have already seen it. Overlord right now will go down as one. GuMiho honestly helped that really cleanly. I thought this was going to be an issue because he didn't scout the Roaches until they were, well, already halfway across the map. One of the ways in which you can obviously prevent that from happening is just by going for a scouting SCV earlier on into the game. Anyways, now Rogue is going to be the defender. No third hatchery here for the Zerg player yet. Not much creep spread at all. Zergling speed only halfway done. A Banshee is going to come up. So, yeah, soon the map is going to be all about the Terran, I guess. He did go for the cloaking upgrade once again here. I think that this time around he will probably let it finish. Yeah, very conservative though. I feel like Gumi could probably be a little bit more aggressive. He doesn't know about the fact that there's no third hatchery here. So I feel like if he would have scouted that, he probably could have maybe even picked it off. Although, well, he might accidentally still arrive there. Yeah, that Cyclone is going to have a good time. Link speed at this point is done though. Clean movement here once again by Rogue. Yeah. Alright, this is a proper high-level game, because now we're transitioning. This is where a lot of StarCraft players absolutely lose it, right? So maybe you're really good in a straight-up game. I find myself being quite bad in these kinds of circumstances. So I feel like if the game is straight up, I'm pretty good, right? I can play TVZ, I can play ZVT. But as soon as things go differently than the way that I've always practiced it, things become significantly harder. Now, that was a really, really good move right there for GuMiho. Almost baiting that out. I think that was probably on purpose. Banshee shows up right here as well. Cloaking indeed did finish. Apparently content with sniping queens for now. I mean, the queens obviously are not the most expensive unit that Zerg has, but they're pretty pricey. And honestly, if he can just clean up all of those queens, I guess that Zerglings are gonna have to come out. And there's one thing that Hellions are really good against. It's obviously Zerglings. Because if you don't make links right now, you're gonna lose a lot of workers. Yeah, this is becoming a disaster. Nice move right here by GuMiho. At the same time, on the other side of the map, there are some Zerglings here. I honestly feel like those Zerglings should have been home, though. Ooh, come on. Zerglings, get him. No, Zerglings are not gonna get him. In the meantime, on the other side of the map, looks like the Terran units are slowly being cleaned up, but that was so close, man. Third command center is done around the same time as the third hatchery of the Zerg, which is always a good situation for Terran to be in. That was so close to being a disaster. Ugh. Obviously, repairing those supply depots is also not free. And I guess he was busy microing at home, so he did lose a couple of the units right there on the other side of the map. I don't think the Banshee should have gone down there. Alright. Anyways. Double NG Bay here for Terran. Double Evo Chamber right here for Zerg. I still think that this is a small advantage right now for GuMiho. But there's no denying that Rogue is really good in these sorts of circumstances. So now we're playing Bio, by the way. So a lot of people think of GuMiho as a mech player, but he has been playing a lot of biological-based armies as well. Rogue just going Roach Ravager now? Really? I thought we were going double Evo here to go for, you know, a bunch of upgrades. But he's just started up a ton of units. Now he's gone for a Spire. Okay, good surround here this time around. Okay, so he does start up upgrades. Rogue is really one of those players who, like, wings it, right? Super difficult to play against. Super hard to study as well. Because I'm trying to make sense of what he's doing here. So he made double Evo Chamber, and then he's like, you know what? I don't actually want those. I guess I'll start up a Spire instead, and then I'll go for a +1 Carapace upgrade only. Like, there's some inefficiency in his play. But it's also immediately what makes him so hard to predict, right? Because there's a good chance that GuMiho picked up on the fact that there's double Evo Chamber at this point in the game. So he probably puts his opponent on a... And Evo Chamber is not that expensive, right? In the big picture. Wait, he does still start a +1 melee. Regardless of the fact that he could have started it up... Okay, he could have started it up like minutes ago. I like this position better and better, though, for GuMiho. He's well prepared against the Mutaling Bane army. He's got a superior economy. He's got a faster set of upgrades. He's got a good army. A good... Yeah, he's basically ahead in every way. Fourth hatchery on the right side of the map. Very exposed. Obviously, there's no Baneling speed or anything along those lines, right? So normally we would be seeing... Mutaling Bane, but I guess it's gonna be Ravagerling Bane Muta or something along those lines? I mean, I guess having Banelings in the mix would be good, but Banelings are quite expensive and they take a long time to produce. Like the Baneling speed, that is. Okay, now we have 11 Mutas coming up. Queens caught way off guard. Nicely done right here by GuMiho. This is what you get for roaming the map so aggressively. Second console on the second 4th base. In the meantime, 4th command center about halfway done. The only thing right here that's going quite well for Rogue is that I don't think a Terran is expecting 16 Mutas at this stage in the game. Suddenly 16 Mutas are showing up. I don't think he's seen it, right? Has he seen the Spire? Where is the Spire? There it is. No, he hasn't picked up on the Spire at all. So those Mutalisks could accidentally catch the Terran player off guard. Missile turrets are coming up, though. I think he may have gotten a glimpse of them. Or at the very least, he's figured out that there could be some Muta play. Because he hasn't seen any Ravagers, or not that many Ravagers. He's seen like 4 of them. And the gas has to be going somewhere, right? He hasn't seen any Banelings either. Alright. Mutas are going to pick up the reinforcements in the middle of the map. I think they're going to be needed, though, to snipe any of those siege tanks. GuMiho playing an exceptionally good game here. Yeah, GG is cold. There's no way Rogue is going to be able to defend that, now that GuMiho has more than a 60 supply advantage. Alright, game 3. 2,000 atmospheres. Are we going to open up with Roaches once again, Rogue? Because honestly, the 2 builds that we've seen so far, neither of them really worked out. All they did was create a little bit of chaos. And while GuMiho decided to follow up with like a double Thor drop in game number 1, I mean, yeah, your opener happened to be good against that. Your follow-up happened to be good against that. But I don't think the win in game number 1 was due to that Roach start. And, well, game number 2 clearly didn't create much of an advantage from that the opener either, so. We've actually got SCVs moving across the map. Ooh, okay. We've got 2 SCVs going towards the right side here. Overlord is heading on over in this direction somewhat, but I don't think it's gonna find that the first barracks has already gone up right here on the side of the Zerg. This is a pretty conservative position here for a double Rex proxy. Actually, there's even a 3rd SCV coming up, so I guess this is gonna be an all-out, all-in. Yeah, pretty conservative positioning right here. It is gonna be a quick spawning pool, by the way, together with a quick extractor. So this should theoretically be doable for Rogue, but ideally you do pick up on this. I mean, if he would have scouted this would have been a-okay for Rogue, right? If he would have gotten a glimpse right there of one of those SCVs, I think he would have been, yeah, in a perfect position. That being said, he followed it up right here with a hatchery on the low ground. Are we gonna make a 4th Rex as well? Every once in a while we do see, like, you know, up to like 5 barracks in TVZ, which is a little bit ridiculous. You can actually support up to 7 barracks off of 1 base. So if you have 16 on minerals and a mule mining, you can actually support non-stop supply depot production and then marines out of 7 barracks. Obviously that is very all-in and it would hit very late, so probably not ideal at all. Anyways, bunker coming up. Zerglings though already on the low ground. Theoretically this should be really good for Rogue, right? So he starts up link speed here as well. He's pulling drones right now towards the low ground. Okay. He's trying to see if he can take out these SCVs and these Marines before they can really get underway. No micro back on the weakened drones. And actually, this bunker is going to finish. I think he probably should have split up a couple of Zerglings right there, or split off a couple of the Zerglings to try and go after the SCV that was building the bunker. Now we're caught outside of the net, and this is actually starting to hurt. GuMiho is still sitting at 17 workers here, bumping out SCVs one at a time. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it's starting to add up. Second bunker now comes up. Obviously, a spine crawler was also made here, and while Rogue is going to finish up link speed, if he finishes off any more... Oh my god, if he loses any more drones here, I think it's pretty much game over. Yeah, this is really nicely done here by Gumi. Bit of a misplay right there from Rogue. Loses 3 more drones. Now we're talking 11 to 18. Gee, yeah, he... Okay, he realized that he messed up the micro there. I think he probably was supposed to split off 1 Zergling to go after the bunker building SCV, but GuMiho obtains a quick 2-1. I just found out that apparently they played a second best of 3 on that same day. So this is about 3 hours later. I'm kind of curious what ended up going down in this one as well. Alright. I can imagine Rogue probably not too happy after that first series. Especially game number 1 that he played, right? On Glittering Ashes. That was a beautiful game. Game number 2 barely didn't go his way. Game number 3. Yeah. The margin for error in that one was also absolutely tiny. There's a story here, though. So are we going to go CC first again, Mr. Gumi? No, we're going to go... Alright. What was that? A 200 mineral barracks on the low ground? Apparently refusing to send another SCV ahead of this one, but... Interesting. Different map this time around as well, right? So Blackburn apparently... basically the way it works in a best of 3, if you're unfamiliar, I mean, I've mentioned this many times in previous casts. But if you're playing a best of 3 series, and there are 7 maps in the current map pool, you both get to veto 2 maps each. So, considering we didn't see Blackburn in the first series that we watched, I guess they decided to go with different vetoes. So there's a lot of mind games going on, right? Where, like, apparently Blackburn this time around didn't make the cut. Makes you wonder who decided to veto this one. Probably Rogue. I believe this is generally considered to be a pretty good Terran map, but this is kind of sad, man. Why did you do that to the Overlord? Overlord, go scout the impaled Ultralisk and then return home. I guess that Rogue is scouting extremely deep with those Overlords right now because of that, yeah, that barracks proxy, right? Even though this was a little while earlier that day, it's still fresh in his mind. Rogue doing, GuMiho doing the same thing right here as well. Moving a Marine on the right side of the map, making sure he does not get caught off guard by anything dumb. Obviously, Rogue has been quite adventurous with his Overlord scouts in the first place anyway. So maybe, you know, picking off one of those Overlords is really quite nice. Alright, so Gumi positioning rather his structures here, his production structures inside of the main. And one of them in the natural. Okay, we're gonna go reactor over there. Normally you'd switch this around with the factory, but that's not gonna happen. It's too long of a flight. So, curious to see how GuMiho is gonna continue onwards over here. I don't think I like this positioning on those structures too much. Can we go for an orbital, please? Ugh. 400 minerals on the orbital? Hello, Mr. GuMiho, what are we doing? Are we falling asleep? This is a thing that's also quite hard to, like, portray, I guess, in, like, a, you know, a YouTube cast. Oftentimes what these guys do, right, is that they play very long tournament days, especially, for example, at IEM Katowice. I think some of those days were, like, 12 hours. So, if you're at the venue for, like, 12 hours, I can imagine your first best-of-3 series of the day is going to be significantly better than your second your last best-of-3. Now, this wasn't at IEM Katowice. This is a series that was played recently. It was an online event, I think, from Alpha X. Either way, yeah, maybe this is a little bit later on into the day. So GuMiho is maybe not as crisp as he was in the first best-of-3 that we watched. It's always a little hard to say. Like, I could look at the clock. So every single replay in StarCraft 2 has, like, a time of date at which it was played as well. So you could say, like, oh, this was played at 7 p.m., right? So that's kind of late. The problem is that a lot of these pro gamers, they live pretty wild schedules. They do not work your regular 9 to 5, so they will, generally speaking, wake up in the afternoon. At least a lot of them do. Especially Clem is notorious for this. Clem apparently, it's gotten so bad apparently for Clem that he has been playing the North American server. Because apparently Clem, I think Clem's sleep schedule is considered to be one of the worst amongst the European pros. He apparently wakes up at like 4 or 5 in the afternoon. So by the time that he, like, you know, by the time that like 2 a.m. comes around, there's no one playing anymore on the EU server. So apparently he switches to NA instead. So Clem is currently very highly ranked on the NA server. Just because I guess there's opponents to go up against. It's a real issue when you have like 24 players you could be facing off against in the first place. There's a pretty significant problem if all of them have gone to bed, right? What's going on here, man? This is the strangest interaction between them. Really? Oh, what was that, Gumi? Alright, hold up. I haven't really been talking about the game very much, but things have been a bit confusing. So, we've got a medevac drop, followed up with a battlecruiser opener. Rogue has seen the fusion core. He's gone for the lair. He hasn't started up any spore crawlers yet, though, which is a bit confusing. Okay, he decides to now go for a council on the Roach Warren and... Okay, So now we go spore crawlers. This feels a little bit late, but yeah, no, it's actually perfectly timed. Those spores are going to finish up at the correct moment so that when the battlecruiser arrives, it's going to be there. So it's going to be, I guess, a Mutiling Bane right here for a Rogue. Whereas GuMiho is once again going to be playing defensively. This time around, he is going for a bunch of siege tanks. So that's nice. Battlecruiser not going to the main base of the Zerg. Instead, it's going to go straight on over to the third. Already though, Rogue successfully split up a bunch of his queens. Anticipating multiple moves here from the opponent, so... things are looking quite crisp for him. He decides to now go for the fourth base as well, and since that medevac was killed, there's not really a whole lot that Gumi can do about this. That's the reason I think why I decided to go for the Thor opener in that first game that we saw today. It's nice if your opponent, you know, gives you the time of day, but the problem is when you open up with this one, you're kind of just gonna sit there, right? You're just gonna, yeah, allow the Zerg to do whatever they like, which is always a scary position to be in. Obviously, Mr. Maru is very fond of playing that style. We saw Bjorn doing the same thing against Rogue a couple of days ago in a previous cast that I did. I'll go ahead and post a link to that one down below in the description of this video. That is an exceptionally passive game from Bjorn. So Rogue is just the one in charge of the pacing of that game entirely. So I guess, yeah, other Terran players that play mech like to be a bit more passive. GuMiho, so... GuMiho, though, in general, seems to be... He's got a lot of Marines, man. This is a bit funny. So he's got, I guess, the NG bay right here for missile turret production. So after losing, like, 7 Marines, he made, like, another 10. But now we're eventually transitioning towards mech. So I don't even know if Rogue has actually picked up on this at this point. No, I don't think he's seen any of the armories. There's a second NG bay going up? What's the second NG bay gonna do? So wait, we've got double armory here from GuMiho. And now also double engineering bay. Maybe he forgot that he already produced one? If we're gonna go 4 upgrades at once, I'm gonna be very surprised, because that is very expensive. Like, triple Evo chamber for Zerg is already unheard of in most of the games. Nah, he's not gonna start with upgrades. I think that was just, yeah, I think he probably thought he didn't make an NG bay yet. Alright, a little bit of sloppiness right here from Gumi. Losing some of that crispness here that we saw in the first series. Yura's going in. Unstimmed Marines trying to chase this down. There are some Thors out here somewhere, weren't there? Okay, I think he... maybe they were just on a production tab? Yeah. Okay, Thor right here. Magic box. Nicely done right here by Rogue. Alright. Magic boxing is a technique you can use on Mutas that force them to stay, you know, spread out like they are right now. So basically, if you imagine this as the box, right? So basically the outline of the Mutas as the box. Any click you do inside of the box makes the Mutas stack up like that. Any click you do outside of the box, or whatever you want to call it, makes the Mutas spread out, or, you know, maintains that spread out position. So by default, if you click inside of the box, they, yeah, stack up. And if you click outside of the box, they stay spread out. The problem is, if you click inside of the box against a bunch of those Thors can deal a lot of damage. You really want to try and make sure you keep them spread out. Smart servos even coming up right here. Interesting. Anyways, Rogue. Ready to show what he's made of. SCVs, okay, splitting. Okay, siege tank there goes down as well. Yeah, this is not good for Gumi. On the back of this, Rogue literally has 3 digits worth of drones. He's got 100 workers. Mining, well, nearly 4,000 minerals a minute. What that means is that Rogue is still thinking probably of that Bjorn game he played a little while ago. And he's like, you know what? Should have not gone up to 90 workers. Should have made like 100. What's next? Are we gonna do 110? Anyways, the idea being that you can send in a wave after wave after wave of Zerg unit. Yeah, he's already even preparing to knock down the rocks right here at the 6 o'clock position to take that base. He's already taken the base all the way up north. GuMiho, 138 supply, kind of just sitting here. He knows that there's another Zerg attack coming soon enough. Hive comes up. I like that as well. Going into the 3-3 upgrades with adrenal glands and stuff makes a lot of sense. Despite the insane income, though, from Rogue, he doesn't actually have a whole lot of money here. He's just investing a ton into army. Upgrades and everything. Alright, not sure what those creep tumors are gonna do. Are those backup creep tumors in advance? I guess they are. Huh. Not something I've ever seen in a pro game. I think that's intentional though, right? Yeah, he's got a lot of active creep tumors that he purposely hasn't spread. Interesting. Careful, careful, careful. Alright. Decides to teleport those all the way back home. At the same time, Banelings rolling on a forward. Looks like the battle cruisers are at the right place now, right now, though. I say that. Yeah. Bunch of SCVs still end up going down regardless. Mutas swoop in once again. This time around, Technical Jump is on cooldown. The first battle cruiser does fall. 17 SCVs also find their grave over here. So Rogue's plan is to rinse and repeat. More Zerglings, more Mutas, more Banelings, more upgrades. He's built up once again to exactly 100 drones, which I kind of appreciate. You know, 98 was nice. 99, come on, we gotta add on a drone. Come on, 2 drones. Alright, I would like to see 2 drones on the production tab, but Rogue not really interested in playing a fun game for us, I don't think. He's just trying to obtain the victory here. Now grabs a bunch of those Thors. The Thors immediately do switch to their anti-air mode as soon as the Mutas get close, but that magic boxing, together with the Zerglings, pretty nice, especially with Adrenal Glands right now finishing up. That's about 40% attack speed improvement for those Zerglings, and you can imagine, especially against Thors, that is going to be something. Rogue even taking a base in the top right. Oh, okay. This is definitely a Terran's base. But then again, if GuMiho is very busy right here on the low ground, the next expansion that Terran likely will take is this one over here. He's not even going to be thinking about the one in the top right for another 5 minutes. Anyways, I don't know if Rogue is going to let this guy live for another 5 minutes, though. These traits are all pretty inefficient. But then again, every time anything dies, there's like 80 more Zerglings on the back of it. Double macro hatchery in the main base. Just for the larva generation. There's like no SCVs here, man. "36 workers have been killed here by the Zerg." Here we go once again. Seen this move before. Yeah, and even though in a straight-up battle, Mutaling Bane is not very good against mech at all, when you play it like this, right, and you really use that mobility, you try to hit the opponent at several different angles at once, it suddenly works. So now he's adding on 11 Corruptors as well. I think that's just to get rid of all of those battle cruisers. Apparently another one has been made, and he's still producing more of them. Corruptors here are going to be the obvious choice. He's probably going to force the technical jump. I like this. Only technically jumping one of them. Base in the top right, by the way, was found. Okay. Yeah, Rogue has such a wide variety in his playstyles, right? Like, it's really cool to see. There's no way that this is not going to be a win for Zerg. There it is. GG. Alright. We're back on Hardwire. Curious to see if Rogue once again decides to go for a Roach Warren at like 1.5 minutes. I doubt it. But it could definitely be a pool first. I wouldn't mind it at all if GuMiho decided to start SCV scouting. I don't think he's done that a single time so far. But I do think it's really good. Believe it or not, knowing what your opponent is doing, especially when the opponent is rogue, is probably helpful. No. Once again, quick gas guys are right here for Gumi. Straight into the barracks. Once more, it's one of those things to know about, right? So we've got ourselves a quick gas geyser together with a quick spawning pool. This could definitely be a Roach Warren. Now this... Imagine if Terran decided to go for an SCV scout at this point in the game. They would see everything. Apparently GuMiho though has done the math. He's like, you know what? I don't need to know. As long as I do a good enough job microing my units at home. The follow-up information is really all I need, but... yeah. The reason why Zergs, generally speaking, don't drone scout, so Protosses are obviously expected to probe scout, and Terrans are sort of expected to SCV scout as well. But that's because the pylons and the supply depots for Zerg can fly. This is honestly one of the main strengths of Zerg. Not something that we discuss nearly as often as we probably should, but Overlords are honestly one of the strongest Zerg mechanics. So even though we do once again have a very quick spawning pool here, we're just gonna go straight into link speed. Leaving 2 drones in a gas geyser. He's planning on doing something with this. Otherwise, I think he'd pull 2 out. Or maybe all 3. Maybe Overlord speed? Could just be Overlord speed. Nah, Rogue doesn't really strike me as an Overlord speed kind of guy. Serral is an Overlord speed kind of guy. Rogue? Probably a Roach Warren. I mean, I don't know. Nah, he just pulled 1 out right now. What? Alright, I don't... Was that a misplay? I doubt it. There's like 3 things to do at that point in the game. I doubt that that was a misplay. Reaper at this point runs by that Overlord. Reaper doesn't know that the Overlord spotted it, but this means that the Zerglings can go in. He's waiting for link speed right now to finish up. Maybe he should go in though, because the Hellions are gonna pop out in time. Ha! Well worth it, bro. 2 Zerglings right there for, or 3 Zerglings for 1 SCV. Yeah, nah, not very good. Reaper here thinking about sniping that last lane as well, but not gonna happen. Interesting. Broke just kind of trickling in the gas. Not really committing to anything big. Latest Roach Warren. Oh, okay, I was gonna say, would be right about right now if you want to go for an aggressive one. Usually we see this one started about 3.5 minutes at latest. This one I think started like 3:37. Oh, this is good. This is good for Gumi. GuMiho goes in, scouts the Roach Warren. Obviously, he can also kill drones. Maybe even better. Alright, so... Okay, he cancels. I was gonna say, like, that's a tricky one, right? So, you lose about, well, 600 resources worth of... No, 500 resources worth of Terran units right there in the exchange of 6 drones, right? It looks like a good trade, and I think it is. But it's also a little bit scary, especially when the opponent could go for a Roach all-in as a follow-up. I probably would have kept that Roach Warren up. Just put all my eggs in one basket, hope for the best. Rogue, though, much better than I am. Decided to cancel it. Obviously, Terran doesn't know this. So, Gumi, I guess, already delayed the 3rd command center, which I guess is enough damage that, yeah, Rogue is satisfied with it. Banshee has a follow-up as well. He actually still decided to add on a couple of medevacs before he decided to go straight into the Banshee. Kind of interesting. Actually, is it only 1? Ah, it's only 1. Viking, by the way, killed all the Overlords here, so these Hellions in the main base are unscouted. Nice clearing right there of the flight path for that medevac. Now this Overlord is going to continue to hunt. Go all around the map, scout for any OVs. Rogue, though, already has been sufficiently pushed back. At this point, GuMiho has a bit of map control. Alright, 1-1 upgrade startup. Barracks transition here once again from Gumi. Despite the fact that this is the most popular mech map in the map pool. Apparently Gumi is like, no. Not this one. Not this one. Although, to be fair, I guess it didn't really work out for him so well in the previous game. Okay. This is dealing quite a bit of damage, though. 20 workers have been killed here by Gumi. 22 drones in total. Definitely a worthwhile trade. Then again, and I know I say this always, right? I do this every time, but like... It's good to kill drones with Hellions, don't get me wrong. But Zerg is also not really expecting any follow-up pressure here for at least a little while longer. We do have Stimpack and 1-1 upgrades finishing up pretty soon, but I think Zerg is in the clear until those upgrades are done. Meaning that he can do whatever he likes. Apparently in this case, that's not a 4th hatch. I actually kind of expected a 4th hatch to come up. Anyways. He's dealing some damage over here. Quite a bit of damage, actually. Yeah, 6 Marines just ended up going down here. Oh, well, now I guess you don't have to worry about any follow-up aggression either, right? At least not for a little while. No 4th hatchery kind of surprises me. Macro hatch. Alright. And there's the 4th. Okay, so we have 5 hatcheries here in total. Burrow. Interesting. Terran going straight into the combat shield upgrade as well. Triple reactor as a follow-up, so he's planning on pumping out a whole lot more Marines. One medevac here with 4 Marines and 1 siege tank. I think it can probably kill this hatch. I think you should go for it, though. Yep. Medevac, I think, on the right side of the map. Alright. Here's the drone follow-up. This is where Rogue will be able to secure an economical advantage. Terran does not have a 4th command center yet. And with the amount of production in the main base right now, I don't think he plans on adding one on just yet either. Probably looking to deal some damage on the other side of the map first, but obviously that's a little bit of a gamble. Okay, that was a bit sloppy as well. I'm seeing like a few units being killed for what seems essentially free. If you're gonna go for like a 3cc sort of all-in, you really do want to try and preserve as many of those units as possible. Alright, that's a huge army though. Bailing speed about, well, 3/4 of the way done. +2/+2, not done just yet. Terran also very late on their 2/2. As long as Rogue finishes up Link speed, or sorry, Bane speed, I think he should be more than okay. Especially when 2/2 finishes up for him, his Lings and Banes are going to be so powerful. Good spread here though by Gumi. Slowly moving forward. He wants the Zerg player to jump on this. Only 3 siege tanks at this point in the game as well, by the way. Yeah, not a whole lot. There's a huge chunk of Terran units right now at home as well. Gumi needs to be very careful. Like, he's been parked on the creeper for a while. Obviously, Zerg is making a huge army here for a while already as well. Okay. That's a ton of Marines. Close the front door, close the front door, close the front door! It's wide open. Zerglings run in. Terran drop in the main base. Medevac goes down. Couple of Marines right there on that little Reaper jump-up pad. SCVs right now, though, okay, are starting to fall. A lot of workers are being destroyed in a heartbeat. GuMiho is still inviting his Zerg player right there into that army, but, like, why? Why would Zerg go in there? Just give up that base, yeah. He's got another hatchery coming up on the right side of the map, too. After you just killed, like, 40 SCVs here, it's a good idea to just force the Terran player to come to you. Okay, Rogue sitting back for the time being. Finally does decide to engage here. 1 siege tank caught by itself. 2nd siege tank also gets surrounded right now. 2/2 is finishing up in 5 seconds right after the battle ends. And this is going from bad to worse right now. GuMiho just a few minutes ago in a really good position in this game. Rogue not taking the bait. 22 SCVs remain, by the way, at this stage in the game. GG. Alright, so the first best of 3 today was won by GuMiho, but in the second one, Rogue clearly was in charge.